I started drawing pretty late, not when I was in high school or in art school, but around the time that I got my first gray hairs. And it's tempting to think that that's too late to learn a new thing, that I could never make art meaningfully if I started at such a mature age. But I've come to realize that coming to art later in life might not just be a viable alternative, it might actually be a tremendous advantage. Here's what I'm thinking. I've lived more. When I was younger, I just hadn't done that much. I hadn't experienced being a parent or building a career or paying bills or facing challenges or living through decades of global change. But as I got older, all of those experiences and those lessons and those losses, they're all part of the deep well of experience that I draw on to make art today. I just have more wisdom and more perspective and more to say than I used to. I think about an artist like Bill Traylor, who first started drawing in his 80s, and he used his lifetime of experiences as a former slave and a sharecropper to create this amazing, powerful, poignant, original works of art that had never been seen before. Or Leonard Cohen. He released some of his most original and acclaimed works when he was in his 80s, songs that drew on decades of spiritual experiences and life lessons. And he made these rich, soulful kinds of music that he could never have done when he was a much younger musician. Or Frank McCourt. He published his first book in his late 60s, Angela's Ashes. It was so compelling to millions of readers because Frank had lived a lifetime before he sat down to write about it. When you've seen more ways of living, more experiences, more cultures, when you've absorbed libraries of books and films and music and art, you can make fresh and insightful connections between all of these vast resources that you might never have noticed before and even known about. I've also grown over the years. I'm more emotionally mature. I have a deeper understanding of complex emotions and human experiences. I'm less arrogant. I'm less cocksure. I don't reduce things to black and white terms. I'm more able to be empathetic to other people, to see beauty in all kinds of things. I have a long-term perspective that comes from putting all these miles on my tires. And aging has given me patience. I don't mind if it takes me 20 years to learn to watercolor or to draw portraits. I kind of enjoy deliberately practicing and developing my skills slowly. I don't expect instant results anymore. I embrace mistakes and I welcome them as lessons learned. I love old actors who are suddenly overnight phenomena. People like Judi Dench or Morgan Freeman or Betty White or Jean Smart. They became famous after many decades of acting in the background, and they come into their own and into the spotlight because they have these deeply seasoned skills and insights that you only get from living a life. And money doesn't really matter to me as much as it used to. When I was young, I had to focus on earning a living and squirreling away my wages and supporting my family. And I could never have afforded the investment of time and money that I have needed to be a full-time artist. And through those years in the rat race, I just measured my success in terms of the numbers on my paycheck. But now, I just don't really need that much. And making money is no longer what it's all about to me. The riches that I valued in art are about life experiences, about personal fulfillment, about discoveries, about the joy of creating, and the pleasure of helping other people to make the same discoveries. And I just don't care so much about what other people think anymore. If they think about me at all. I mean, geezers like me are invisible to most younger people. We can do whatever we want and nobody pays attention, and that's frankly a load off. We don't need to conform to expectations. So we're free to be authentic and original and radical. Think about Louise Bourgeois, or Grandma Moses, or Georgia O'Keeffe, or Alice Neal. They were these idiosyncratic old ladies who changed the world. I also know quite a lot about quite a lot. I have so many years of all kinds of experiences from my previous career, my previous life, transferable skills like writing and editing and designing and making presentations. I know how to speak in public. I know how to make videos. I know how to manage big projects. I know how to think critically. And I know all those things can be used in my art making. I also know a lot of different types of people from all over the world. If I want to get a collaborator for a creative project, I have thousands of great contacts in my database. And that just comes from collecting people for many years. And every artist is better when they have a network to support and encourage their work. I love that TV series about Julia Child. Even though she had the energy and the enthusiasm of a newcomer to cooking and publishing and TV, she'd also been around. She'd been a copywriter, and then she worked in the clandestine intelligence services all over the world. She was a spy. She was no newbie. Another thing is I'm better at taking risks. Because we've seen more and we care less about what other people think, mature artists are a lot better at breaking the rules and blazing new paths. Look at Henri Rousseau. He worked as a customs clerk until he was in his 40s, and then he started painting. And he created naive, revolutionary art that is still inspiring us a century later. Or David Hockney. He's changed his style and his medium every few years, and he still does, well into his 80s. He's made art with Polaroids and fax machines and iPhones and iPads and cars strapped with dozens of video cameras, and then he'll turn around and he'll paint beautiful landscapes on canvas, and he'll draw portraits with a pencil in the style of Ingres. Like the honey badger, he don't care. I've been reading about the distinction between conceptual and experimental creativity. Conceptual innovators do their best work usually early in their career. They come up with bold new ideas that strike like a lightning bolt and shake up the status quo with radical innovations. Think Picasso coming up with Cubism in his 20s, or Basquiat, or Mozart, or Billie Eilish. And then there are experimental innovators. Their creativity evolves over many years of trial and error. They're usually older artists who focus on refining their ideas and their techniques over time, like Cézanne. He painted his most famous works after decades of steadily developing his ideas about how we see, about how color works, completely changed painting after all this development. Or think about Bach, or Toni Morrison, or Raymond Chandler. You can make breakthroughs when you're a whippersnapper or an old codger. And finally, the older I am, the more I know that art is good medicine. There are just so many cognitive benefits to being creative. It stimulates my brain. It improves my cognitive function, my problem-solving skills, my resilience. Art making promotes neuroplasticity, which means that it encourages new neural connections, and it keeps the old neck-top computer limber and fresh and updated. I pay more attention to details. I learn and I remember better. Art helps me to be mindful and to be relaxed. It helps me to reduce stress and anxiety, and it releases dopamine, which makes me feel good. Drawing improves my motor skills and my eye-hand coordination. And if I ever feel lonely, art brings me friends from all over the world, which is powerful medicine also. You know, if you've been putting off starting your art life, get on it now. No matter what age you are, you can just start by picking up a sketchbook and a pen and just drawing the world around with you. Draw with me every Thursday in my Draw With Me classes here on YouTube. And in time, you can try new media, you can join communities, you can take lessons, you can spend the rest of your life growing and enriching your life with art. You're never too old to learn new things. And look, if an old goat like me can do it, I know you can too.